one bit.
President Trump announced that another alleged drug smuggling boat from Venezuela has been blown out of the water without warning. And you may not think that's a big deal right now, but one day soon, you'll look at yourself in the mirror and realize you're out of cocaine. President Trump announced a tariff on all goods imported into the U.S., saying that the U.S. has been plundered and raped by other countries, and Trump will not stand for.
Then came the neutral observers who only wanted to see how exactly a comedy show managed to trigger a political emergency.
Ending the government shutdown will fund SNAP through next September, and thank God, because I was this close to. Trump attended a Washington Commanders game on Sunday, and I guess he hasn't been to one in a while because he showed up in red.
What made the whole episode even funnier was the sheer scale of the threat. Not boycott the episode, not criticize the joke, not debate the facts. No, the nuclear option.
Why do you blame the Biden administration
because
for
they
what
let
this
him
man
in.
did?
Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're stupid.
And everyone somehow became a constitutional scholar overnight.
In one of the emails, Epstein's brother asked if Vladimir Putin has a picture of Donald Trump giving oral sex to someone named Bubba, which was an old nickname for Bill Clinton. Volodymyr Zelensky has said that if President Trump provides Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles, he will nominate Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Trump's response didn't most resemble the calm dignity of someone unbothered by late-night comedy. It resembled a homeowner standing in a rainstorm trying to argue with the clouds. Legal language mixed awkwardly with social media bravado. Threats to institutions flew alongside complaints about respect. It was a fascinating blend of courtroom fantasy and locker room energy.
In an interview, President Trump denied online rumors that the gold decorations in the Oval Office came from Home Depot, even though he has a whole team of guys taking stuff from Home Depot.
Meanwhile, SNL did what it has done for generations. Nothing. No apology tour, no press denial, no trembling network statement, just another episode on the schedule, another lineup of sketches, and another calm refusal to treat outrage as a command. And that's what truly drove the reaction into overdrive. No scrambling, no retreat, just business as usual, because nothing irritates outrage culture more than being ignored by the very thing it's screaming at. The irony was thick enough to butter. Satire does not freeze in fear. It just waits patiently for the next absurd reaction to amplify. Within days, new jokes began circulating about trying to cancel a show that has already survived every scandal imaginable. The idea of censorship became the new punchline. The threat to shut down SNL became proof that the joke had landed with surgical precision. Late-night rivals joined the feast. Other hosts feasted on the meltdown like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet of hypocrisy. Each monologue added another layer of ridicule. And with each passing day, the original joke became almost secondary. The reaction itself became the main event. Because here's the secret that never seems to stick. Comedy doesn't need to win an argument. It only needs to make people notice the contradiction.
Amazon is planning to donate $1 million to Donald Trump's inauguration. It makes sense because Amazon and Trump both want to ship stuff out as fast as possible.
And once that contradiction is seen by millions at once, there is no appealing the verdict. Attempts to spin the story only widened its reach. Every denial became another headline. Every threat became another meme. Even silence was framed as confirmation of discomfort. The situation reached that rare internet status where every possible response somehow made things worse. The legal talk became especially entertaining. The idea that a sketch comedy show could be sued into submission for satire was floated with dramatic seriousness. Lawyers across the country collectively sighed in unison. Somewhere in a law school lecture hall, a professor likely used the situation as an example of what not to bring to court. Because satire, unlike defamation, doesn't argue facts. It mirrors reality. And reality, inconvenient as it may be, can't be sued for having a sense of humor. This is where the situation shifted from outrage to performance art.
President Trump criticized Time magazine for using a bad picture of him on the cover, saying, quote, "They disappeared my hair." And I gotta agree, that thing do look.
The effort to cancel comedy itself became a live demonstration of exactly why comedy exists. The feedback loop was flawless. Each complaint confirmed the joke. Each protest justified the satire. It was like trying to punch a shadow while screaming that shadows are unfair. Even people indifferent to both parties found themselves entertained. The situation had crossed into something bigger than politics. It became a masterclass in how not to respond to ridicule, how to turn a one-minute joke into a multi-week humiliation simply by refusing to laugh it off. Historically, powerful figures who survive satire share one trait: restraint. The ones who explode tend to immortalize the joke. A figure built on relentless criticism suddenly objected to being criticized. A voice that thrived on blunt commentary suddenly demanded sensitivity. The shift was so abrupt, it gave emotional whiplash to anyone paying attention. Meanwhile, SNL kept rolling with that familiar live wire energy. Behind the scenes, writers likely had enough material to fill an entire season. When someone threatens to shut down your show because of one joke, that's not a crisis. That's a gift-wrapped storyline with unlimited sequels. And perhaps the most fascinating part of the entire ordeal was how predictably it unfolded. The cycle felt scripted by the universe itself. Joke lands, ego reacts, supporters mobilize, internet feasts, ratings rise, outrage fades, repeat.
Musk gave over $20 million to the mysterious RBG PAC, which claimed that Trump and Ruth Bader Ginsburg agreed on the issue of abortion. Wow, I never even knew Trump got her.
The attempt to cancel SNL didn't provoke fear. It provoked laughter. The kind of laughter that comes from watching someone step on a rake, insist the rake is illegal, and then step on it again to prove a point. In the end, the exposure didn't come from any deep investigation or dramatic reveal. It came from what comedy always offers: timing, understatement, and the quiet confidence to let reality do most of the talking. The irony is that the joke would have vanished into the archive like thousands before it. It would have been clipped, shared, and forgotten by the next news cycle. The spectacle did that work for them. Every overreaction, every angry post, every dramatic demand turned into free advertising and undeniable proof that satire still strikes nerves in the halls of influence. For a brief moment, a sketch show reminded the world that no amount of wealth, branding, or political force can fully shield anyone from being the butt of the joke. And that realization, more than any lawsuit threat or cancellation fantasy, was the part that truly stung. Because in the end, comedy didn't expose anything new. It simply turned the spotlight back where it had always been shining, and waited for the unease to speak for itself.
President Trump defending his pardon of the January 6 attackers, saying that these are just people that love their country. You know, like how OJ loved Nicole.
The unease didn't fade quietly either. It lingered like background static, popping up in every interview, every rally aside, every half-finished thought that somehow circled back to late-night television. A man who once commanded entire news cycles with a single sentence now found himself haunted by a comedy desk and a stack of cue cards. And the beauty of it all was how effortlessly the narrative flipped. The original attempt was to paint the joke as reckless, dangerous, somehow un-American. But the more the complaints grew, the clearer it became that the only real danger was to an ego that had just discovered it couldn't file a noise complaint against satire. You can threaten a network. You can denounce a comedian.
Report shows that of the nearly 100 Trump nominees confirmed by the Senate, only 2 of them were black. 2 black people out of 100? I mean, what is this, my Tinder match?
But you cannot repossess mockery once it's been released into the public bloodstream. Every fresh outburst acted like lighter fluid on a meme bonfire. Edits grew sharper. Parodies multiplied. Even people with no strong political opinions found themselves laughing simply at the sheer absurdity of trying to strong-arm a sketch show into submission. Brave in theory, soaked in reality. What truly elevated the entire episode into pop culture folklore was how seriously the cancellation fantasy was treated. The rhetoric carried the dramatic weight of a constitutional crisis, when in reality, the so-called threat amounted to little more than a very loud, very public sulk. Networks didn't panic. Advertisers didn't flee. Viewers didn't boycott. If anything, they set reminders.
President Trump pardoned Oath Keepers leader Stuart Rhodes, who was serving 18 years for his role in the January 6 attacks. And ladies, just like...
The situation quietly reinforced an uncomfortable truth. Satire only scares power when it's accurate. Cartoons and sketches bounce off harmless figures. They stick only when reality gives them traction. And in this case, the traction was practically gift-wrapped. As the days rolled on, the narrative drifted from anger to exhaustion. The outrage machine began to lose steam, not because the issue was resolved, but because it had been milked dry. The clip lived on like a digital fossil, periodically rediscovered by new audiences who watched it with fresh eyes and fresh laughter. Wait, this all started because of that? Yes, that. And in an era where scandals are often measured in megabytes and attention spans last shorter than a commercial break, that persistence mattered. It showed that sometimes it isn't the loudest outrage that defines a moment, but the quiet efficiency of a joke delivered without panic.
President Trump said that he will only negotiate with Democrats when they agree to reopen the government, adding that he will not be extorted. Except that one time he famously got extorted by that mattress actress Stormy Daniels.
SNL rolled on untouched, as it always does. Politicians kept returning as characters. The news kept cycling. The world kept spinning. but the attempted cancellation joined a long list of historic overreactions that now live comfortably in the Museum of Self-Inflicted Chaos. Somewhere down the line, it will likely be reduced to a trivia question. Which public figure once tried to erase a sketch show from existence after a Weekend Update joke landed a little too close to home? The answer will be met with laughter, not because of the individual involved, but because of the eternal lesson it represents. Power hates mirrors. Comedy holds one up and refuses to look away. And every so often, when someone tries to smash that mirror instead of stepping out of its reflection, the shards form the sharpest punchlines of all. So the show went on, the outrage cooled, the internet archived, and the attempted cancellation became exactly what it never intended to be, a permanent part of the joke itself.